Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Jesse, and here all I talk about is domain format. If you don't know what domain format is, I got a handy dandy video up here you can check out, learn how to play, get caught up to speed. But today I'm really excited because I'm going to be starting a series geared towards new Yu-Gi-Oh players, returning Yu-Gi-Oh players, or maybe the type of deck that you'd want to build to loan out to people because it's pretty straightforward to learn. I'm going to be doing polls to determine the next videos that I'll be doing in this series. This one ended up getting won out by Dark Magician. So Dark Magician is the deck we're going to be building today, and that's perfect timing because Dark Magician is getting new support. Before we get started, if you like what I do here, you can directly support me by joining me on Patreon. It's got some pretty cool benefits. You can get me to mail you a signed card, but any of the tiers get you access to my Discord channel. And I like to involve the people in my Discord with like what I'm going to be doing for my next videos, or if I ever need help, I'll ask them first. It is the main place that I prioritize interacting with fans of mine. You can also support me by joining me on Twitch or becoming a member here on YouTube. I do like to stream. I haven't streamed recently, but it's because I've been crazy busy. Work's been giving me like 6 days in a row, so it has been rough. But the best way to support me is completely free. Just like the video down below and it will hopefully convince YouTube to show my video to more people. And the more people know about domain format, the better. Okay, so like I said, I did a poll on my YouTube channel asking people what they would like me to do my first video in this series on. Dark Magician ended up winning, no surprise to me really. I would honestly love to build any of these decks, so I'm excited to see how the next poll goes. But if you didn't know, Dark Magician is going to be getting support. It's got a new awesome, very easy to make extra deck monster that has a decent sized body and is a searcher. We got this big dragon, which is meh. A new Ayatamias retrain, which is amazing. And this is new art for Secrets of Dark Magic. There's one more. Dark Magic Amulet is the last one. It is a defensive spell that can reset itself. So that has me interested. Now, there's a lot of ways to go about building a domain deck, and people are understandably have a lot of questions about what the best process is, or if there even is one. In my mind, there's two major ways that you can start before you even start adding any cards to a deck. You can start with the deckmaster and say, I know I want this as my deckmaster. I'm going to start there. The other way is to say, okay, I know I want to play this archetype. What would be the best deckmaster for these cards that I know I want to play in the main deck? And in my mind, when I was thinking about Dark Magician specifically, I was thinking, you know, Magician's Rod's probably the safest pick as far as a deckmaster. It's normal summonable, it gets you a spell or trap, and you don't have to worry about tributing things to get it back to your hand. It'll just be in your deckmaster zone. Now, one thing I would suggest is if you're not familiar with the archetype, such as myself, I would heavily suggest you can either look at combo videos online on YouTube, or you can join the Discord specifically for the archetype you're interested in. This Discord is called the Yu-Gi-Oh Discord Repository. This has been one of my favorite Discords to join. It has all archetypes listed in alphabetical order, and Dark Magician was one of the Discords I ended up joining and looking around in there. I would highly recommend you do this if this is something that you're not familiar with. It's just good to know how your deck works before you play it in domain, because you're gonna accidentally waste a lot of time, you know, sitting there and looking like, what do I do? You know, like, and that's what I hope to do in this video. I hope to make a good enough cohesive deck and explain enough so that you could quickly explain to somebody that you're loaning this out to, or you just know the most common plays you're going to end up taking with the deckmaster that I picked for this. So I just wanted to mention that in case people were not aware of that Discord. It's a great resource. I'll try and make sure it's down below in the links. All right, so something like what happened to me can happen to you. And the thing that happened to me was I ended up thinking that Magician's Rod was probably the best pick for Deckmaster. Like I said, it's normal summonable, it searches. Unfortunately, this really isn't a one card combo into anything. Like, the best play you can do is get Magician's Rod, Soul Servant into the Ritual Guy, use the Ritual Guy to get Magician's Souls, and then Souls to summon Dark Magician from the deck. And that leaves you with Dark Magician in play and Magician's Rod. Like, that doesn't do a whole lot. And when I was looking through all of the videos, trying to learn as much as I could about cool combos, was that pretty much everything is a 2-card combo. The reason I'm glad I did all of this research before starting this is because I ended up finding a card that fit the role as Deckmaster better. Okay, also I should say there's another reason why I decided to get away from Magician's Rod. And that reason is that I was starting to put the deck together, and I realized he's a dark spellcaster with access to the Dark Magician archetype. Well, the issue I came across was Timaeus, the United Magidragon, and Timaeus, the United Dragon, are both light dragons, which does not fit into Magician's Rod's domain. This does not have Dark Magician in the title, so it is not a Dark Magician card. Same thing with Timaeus, the other Timaeus. So the first hurdle I came over was kind of realizing that Magician's Rod really isn't the best choice. It's not a bad choice. I'm just going to have to figure out a different deckmaster to incorporate everything or cut some things back, and I wasn't sure about what I wanted to do at that point. In case anybody doesn't know, there is a way to check what deckmasters are available to your card pool. We have something called the reverse domain search. Now, you have to make a deck list, and it has to be on you have to be able to get a YDKE, which you can do on YGO Pro Deck. So I went ahead and, there's a lot of random cards in here, and that's because I just started with the main monsters I absolutely wanted to play, and in the extra deck too. I got both Timaeuses here, plus all the Dark Magician stuff. I even threw in Karibo just so I could make sure I could run like Fiends or Dark Monsters or whatever. And there's everything in here that I was thinking I absolutely wanted to play. And I filled out the rest of the deck. It's important not to put the card that you want to be your deckmaster in the side, which we normally do for decks. So for instance, you'll see that Trickstar Candina is the deckmaster of this deck, and if I was wondering if there was other possible deckmasters I could play, you need to make sure Candina's in the deck, because she needs to also be part, the reverse domain search. It doesn't look at the side deck. It only looks at the main deck and extra deck to see what the domain is and what's compatible with that domain, if that makes sense. If that doesn't make sense, just make sure whatever deckmaster you're thinking about playing is in the deck. The rest of these are random. All spells and traps don't care about domains, so I just needed a deck list to put into the reverse domain search. This is that deck list's YDKE, and it spit out everything I could possibly play with both Timaeus and all that Dark Magician stuff. It's quite a lot. It's a lot of light dark monsters. It's a lot of dark dragons, and a lot of things that say light and dark. So all of these cards I could play as the deckmaster. I was looking through this. I didn't dig through it with a comb, but I did glance through it, and I was like, I'm not sure I want any of these to be my deckmaster. So originally, I was kind of stuck. I was like, man, I really want to play Magician's Rod. It gives me some of that consistency. I guess I'm going to have to not play Timaeus, either of them. And to be honest, that's not the worst thing, because they're honestly not that good. Now, this is where the research that I put into the combos came in. And I ended up finding something that I thought was pretty cool. That was a huge step up from Magician's Rod. It still doesn't play the two Timaeuses. So if you're dead set on playing Timaeus, I would highly suggest you do this whole reverse domain search and find whatever happens to jump out at you that is playable that you would like. I think the biggest issue here is that the main starter I found, and it wasn't really a starter, but Chaos Grepher. Chaos Grepher is another one I considered because he has light and dark and is a warrior, which means you can kind of mix in some other stuff. But he also Foolish Burial something. If you discard a light, you can Foolish Burial a dark. If you discard a dark, you can Foolish Burial a light. That's kind of useful, but you can't summon the thing that you Foolish Burial. So this is an option if you're dead set on playing absolutely every single Dark Magician support. But let me show you what I ended up finding that was pretty cool. I ended up stumbling across a 1-card combo that was pretty cool with just Dark Magician Girl, the Magician's Apprentice. I guess you need a card to discard, but other than her, you just need another card. This can lead into Magician's Rod plus more. And what I mean by that is you can special summon her from the Deckmaster Zone. She has a built-in summon. You just got to discard a card. She can go get Gold Sarcophagus. You can activate Gold Sarcophagus face up, and then she is a level 6 spellcaster, right? You can use her to special summon this from the extra deck by banishing her. And when she gets banished, you can just put her back in the Deckmaster Zone, so you're really not losing out on much. And this can go get Rod. Then you can normal summon Rod and do whatever else you're going to do anyway. So instead of just having Rod and Dark Magician in play, by having him as your Deckmaster, you'll have Gold Sark in play. You haven't used it yet. You'll have the Dark Magician of Destruction in play. Anyway, I'll go into the combos later on in the combo section, but it just seemed like such a better fit. I like it a lot. Not to mention that she counts as Dark Magician Girl. This counts as Dark Magician. If this is popped while face up, and go search for anything that mentions Dark Magician, any spell trap, and set it. After thinking about it for only a short amount of time, it seemed very good. It seemed a lot better than just having Magician's Rod. So that I was pretty set. I started moving forward with her in mind as a deck master. So with that said, let's get started. Now, the issue with Dark Magician stuff has a lot of support. As you can see here, there's pages and pages and pages of Dark Magician support. Unfortunately, for a lot of it, it's really bad. A lot of it relies on you having Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl in play or ritual summoning. It's really rough in Domain. In like Advanced, where you can have multiples of everything, you can make it very easy to ritual summon. It's very straightforward, a lot more consistent. In this deck, I wanted it to run as few bricks as possible. So with that in mind, that's how I kind of came into this. My thought processes with this. Running bricks is kind of a huge trap, and I don't want to hand a deck to somebody if it's not going to function more often than not. Okay, so what are the best Dark Magician cards? In my opinion, you get the most value from these 3 cards. Magical Circle is kind of a trap in that in this deck, you're most likely never going to add anything off the top 3 effect. But every time you summon a Dark Magician, banishing something is very good. Obviously with Eternal Soul, which can bring back your Dark Magician every turn and banish something every turn. And then every Dark Magician you bring back will bring back Dark Magician Girl from the graveyard. So you could use it for things like, now it can't be her because she's only Dark Magician Girl while in play, but it can get you the original Dark Magician Girl. And these things can be used for fodder, link climbing. I don't think anybody would dispute that these are the best cards for Dark Magician that give you the most value. Now, because I'm playing Eternal Soul, I obviously do want to play Dark Magic Attack and Thousand Knives. These are bricks if you do not have Dark Magician play, obviously. But because we're going to so consistently get Eternal Soul, I think it's worth running them because you'll be able to get them out of the deck on the first turn cycle after you activate Eternal Soul. Not too shabby in my opinion. Now, we are running Gold Sark cards. Or sorry, Shining Sarcophagus. Now, obviously, we're going to need the Shining Sark. We're going to need the Dark Magician counterpart. Now, looking at the rest of these cards, again, with the hopes of not running too many bricks, I'm not going to run Archfiend's Advent. It's just a normal summon that doesn't do much, and it's not going to be able to be used for a lot of the fusions that we're going to end up doing. Gandora does seem cool. It's a Dark Dragon. It can be used for a lot of the fusions that we have, and it's also got a nasty effect. And the only other spell that seemed really interesting was Future Silence, and mainly for the ability to draw back up to 6 for everybody. This is kind of a crazy card. Maybe you'll get some favor out of doing that for everybody, but probably not. Who knows? We cannot run Silent Swordsman 0 because it's a light warrior. We can't run Marshmallow. We can't run Gadget Trio. We could run Archfiend's Advent though, but I'm not going to. Turn Silence is, I think, close to being playable, but I'm not going to throw it in. Same thing with Ties That Bind. We don't have enough targets, and we don't want to get locked out of our extra deck. There are more Dark Magician cards I need to add. Illusion of Chaos is a huge card for the deck. In Advanced, they'll use it and shuffle it back into the deck. In Domain, I would probably hang on to this and put something else back. Being able to let this just sit in your hand and keep doing its thing, I think is a lot more valuable. Rod, I definitely want to play, like I said, for the combo. I don't think Robe is good enough anymore. Magic Karibo, funny enough, I think it's great. Soul Servant is bonkers in this deck. We love it. Secrets of Dark Magic, being able to quick play Fusion Summon. Now we got to look up the new cards we're going to need. We're going to need Gaze of Timaeus. We're going to need Dark Magician of Destruction. We're not playing the new Timaeus. I also don't think we want to run the Dark Magic Amulet because it essentially can only be activated in response to somebody trying to negate or interact with this activation. Actually, not even that. It's literally just this card. So I don't think it's worth running. Oh gosh, how could I forget Magician's Souls? That's another amazing card for the deck. Now, Soul Servant, in most combos, it draws you one card, the card that you searched for and put on top of your deck. But there are ways to draw more cards. You just need Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl or a Palladium monster in player graveyard. So because of that, I'm going to run these with the hopes of sending them to the graveyard. Either as fusion material, maybe using Palladium Oracle Mana's effect to special summon herself, and when she's destroyed, you can get Dark Magician Girl from your hand, deck, or graveyard, a special summon it. Oracle Mahad is terrible. It's not a very good card, but I am willing to try and get it to the graveyard to try and draw more with Soul Servant, because I'm also going to be running ways of trying to get Soul Servant back into my deck. Oh, and one last thing, I'm running Silent Magician 0 in this deck as well. It's, sorry, going back to the Shining Star cards, these are all the Shining Star cards we're going to be running. Just these 5, okay. And then these are the most important Dark Magician cards in my mind. And then to help with Soul Servant, I'm going to try out the Palladium monsters, because they, at worst, can be fusion material. The Eye of Timaeus is still useful in my mind. I'll tell you why. Typically, if I didn't have a easily summonable Deckmaster that counted as Dark Magician Girl to use this on, I would say it's not worth it. But there is one monster we can summon off of Eye of Timaeus, off our Deckmaster, that counts as Dark Magician Girl. The Dark Magicians. I like this card a lot. We can also use the Gaze of Timaeus to go into it, but you gotta be careful with Gaze of Timaeus because it will banish the card that we summon with it on the end of the next turn. So you have to understand that when you activate on your opponent's turn, you have to keep in mind which turn it's going to get banished on. I don't particularly like banishing my own cards, so we're going to try and run some ways to get back banished cards, which I'll show you guys. But okay, these are mostly the core of all the engine stuff I want to play. Now, what are the most important pieces? I would argue that Illusion of Chaos is a huge engine piece, along with Souls, which Illusion of Chaos gets Souls. So I did a little digging and I found some cards that could add this to my hand from the deck. We have Preparation, can add it from our deck to our hand. We don't have any ritual spells, but that's a can ability, so you don't have to do it. Chaos Space, funny enough, can get Illusion of Chaos because it cannot be normal summoned or set. You just have to pitch a light monster, which we will gladly pitch these. We would gladly pitch this, and this is searchable because our Deckmaster gets Shining Shark, and Shining Shark can get this. And then this one's, it's a little painful, but Illusion of Chaos is so good in the deck that I think it's worth running. Give your opponent a spell to search your deck for a level 7 or 8 Dark Monster. If this wasn't such a Swiss tool for this kind of deck, the fact that it's like a -2, because you have to discard a card, essentially, and your opponent's drawing a card, essentially, it's really bad. And then it takes itself, plus you get to search for 1 card, so it's a -2. You're losing 3, gaining 1. But it gets this, it gets Gandora, gets Dark Magician, the Magician of Black Magic, DMG, or Dark Magician itself. I think because of that, it might be worth running, so I'm going to try it out. Now, to this point that I was like, okay, I need to figure out exactly what extra deck monsters I will be running. So I don't want to run Amulet Dragon. It's just not good anymore at all. I don't think. There's just so many more ways to get a monster off the field other than destroying it that it's never going to happen. It's not going to happen as much as you would like. Same thing with the DMG Dragon Knight. I don't think it's good enough to run anymore. Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight, is worth running because we absolutely at any cost want to protect these 3 main value pieces, and he allows that. And he also counts as Dark Magician while in play or the graveyard, which is pretty important. We're going to pass on the Dragon Knight, Dark Paladin. I would like to play Master Chaos and Dragoon. The reason being is that every single one of these the Eye of Timaeus can be used for, along with the new one. If you got Dark Magician in play, Eye of Timaeus it, into Red Eyes, Dragoon. Into Master of Chaos, into Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight, you know. That's mainly why I'm okay with playing these, and you can kind of guarantee getting a Dark Magician in play with the Deckmaster itself. You can use the Shining Shark to go get this and summon this, and then you have a Dark Magician in play. So you can very consistently have Dark Magician Girl and Dark Magician in play, which makes Eye of Timaeus not bad, and it makes these much easier to summon. All these other ones, I just don't think they're good enough to play anymore. Now, another way, I'd like a little redundancy, so I would like to add Verte. I would like to add Verte and Anaconda because it can go get Red Eyes Fusion. Because Dark Magician Girl is a free body, it's real easy to make Predaplant, Verte, Anaconda, Red Eyes Fusion into Dragoon. And Dragoon's a great card. It's very hard to get over. It's hard to stop. It's very menacing in a domain game. It's well worth your time to try and increase that redundancy. Now, here is where I was like, okay, I think I need to find ways to increase the number of banishes I'll get off of Magical Circle. So the first thing I thought of was like Monster Reborn effects. So we got Monster Reborn, straightforward, and I went more on the trap versions of, a Monster Reborn effect because I really like the ability to defend myself. It's also nice if you can use these with like a deckmaster that has an on summon effect, which is another reason why Magician's Rod not the best. It's a normal summon effect, not a normal or special summon. It's also a win effect, so you could miss timing. But I think these do double duty in that you worked really hard to get your Dragoon. I think you would like your Dragoon back after they kaiju it or whatever. But also, like I said, you can get more like Dark Magician activations from your circle. Speaking of our Eternal Soul, I was trying to think of ways to protect it. This is a card that I've played in my branded deck, and I was like, I think I could slot this into every deck possible. It's so good. The important part of this card, really the only relevant part of this card outside of branded, is once per turn, if a card you control will be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can send one fusion monster that mentions Fallen of Albaz as material from your extra deck to the graveyard instead. Heavy Storm? Nope. Murgeki? Nope. Feather Duster? Nope. All you gotta do is send an extra deck monster to the graveyard. Speaking of which, we should add those in. Now, which one of these could we possibly use to the best effect? Alba Leonatus can search us for a fusion spell when he's sent to the graveyard during the end phase, or a poly. We will add that in. And then I was on the fence about adding one or two. I think I should add two. So that way we can get two protections from, like, say, two Heavy Storms or whatever. Albion the Branded is the other one that I thought was most relevant. And it made me realize that I would like a branded spell to search off of it. Listen, guys, I'm a sucker for this card. This card is amazing. It's just off of the drawing a card off of shuffling banished light or dark monsters alone. This card is amazing. It's so good. You can most likely activate this every single turn during a rotation to draw 4 cards. No lie. But then it made me realize I should probably play some Bestials. Now, I know it's kind of cheating because I was trying to, like, avoid adding other archetypes, but Bestials are just so good. Now, I'm going to add Dissipator, and I'll tell you why later. I found an interesting thing when I was going down the rabbit hole about, having dragons. But this package is so good. All 5 of these cards are very strong on their own. If you end up searching this with an Albion, you will be drawing a ton, and you will be just using the crap out of all these. Sending special summon monsters, searching for dragons, banishing monsters they summon. This guy's essentially just a DD Crow, but a DD Crow is very good. A 2500 attack DD Crow Dragon, not bad at all. I love this engine. It's so good. If you don't want to mess with branded or Bestials, you don't have to play this, but I think this engine's so good. And there's other value to these cards that I'll tell you later. But we do need to add Poly. And if I'm playing Poly, I'm playing Recycling Plant. I just love this card. Getting back materials that you used as fusion. If you use this for Dragoon or the Dragon Knight, you can end up getting your Bestials back to use those later. Card's amazing. I love it. And being able to another discard outlet to try and get these into the graveyard so you can draw more off of your Soul Servant. I just like this card. A card I was considering, I don't know if it's necessary, is Multi-Universe. This would allow you to, let's say you play Magician's Salvation, it gets banished, you really want it back, you can use Multiverse to get it back. Or likewise, Fusion Recycling Plant. This is essentially a third field spell for the deck that could be one or the other. Doesn't matter which one you start out with, you can play the second one, and then if that gets dealt with 2, you can go back to whichever one you prefer. It didn't make the cut, I don't think, but it is a consideration. You can consider this card. It's pretty cool. And if you do so, I would add Terraforming. The only reason I'm not adding Terraforming right now is because this is pretty much always searchable off of the Rod that I'm going to be playing. And this is one of the cards that I'm going to prioritize setting up along with this. It's Dark Magical Circle that's kind of hard to get. In addition to Golgonda, another way I can try and somewhat protect these is Mana Dragon Zernatron. If you get Feather Dustered or MST'd, you can special him from hand or graveyard to pick any spell or trap that you have banished or graveyard and set it. Doesn't have to be the one that was destroyed. Doesn't have to be the one that was banished. This card's amazing. It's also a level 6 dragon, which is going to be important later. I'll tell you why. Great card. I love this card. All right, we're getting down to the final stretch of cards. I feel good about having my setup plan with Dark Magician Apprentice going into Gold Sark, plus all the Dark Magician stuff. Give me Rod, which will give me... You'll end up with Salvation and Eternal Soul in play. I feel good about that. I like that. I've got a couple ways of protecting it, but as we all know, plans can be ruined, so I need some ways to get them back after they've been destroyed or banished. This is where trusty old Slash Draw comes into play. Now, for anybody who doesn't understand why I'm playing Slash Draw in a singleton format, it is not to burn anybody. I like this card for a few reasons, actually. One is you have to discard a card, which sounds bad, but you discard a card, mill cards equal to the number of cards somebody controls, draw a card, and if it's not Slash Draw, you shuffle in cards back from your graveyard into your deck equal to the number of cards you milled, which it doesn't have to be the cards you milled. It can just be any cards out of your graveyard. That's one reason I love this card. It does all kinds of crazy stuff. It can get bricks out of your hand. It can mill cards, activate, like, imagine this in Twilight, right? Or Lightsworn. Stuff like that. I do love me Jar of Avarice. Shuffles any 5 cards back. Draws the only one, but it's the shuffle back that I'm mainly interested in. Pot of Avarice gets you back 5 monsters. Draws 2. I love this card. It is a staple in my mind. This card. This card is so amazing. I'm not going to start talking about it right now because I have a handy dandy video where I gush about this card and how good it is. So check that out if you want to hear me rant and rave about it. But the reason I love this card is it gets banished cards back into my deck once per turn. So this can happen 4 times every rotation. It's an amazing card. It's a common. Totally worth it. Okay. I've got some ways to hopefully protect my magical circle. I got some ways to hopefully get it back. Now I'm going to try and finish out the deck with like whatever I think happens to be missing, which I think every deck should run as many kaijus as possible. Unfortunately, we only get spot for 1, but we could play Sphere Mode if we wanted. Sphere Mode would actually be pretty good for this deck since it's not, it's kind of reliant on its normal summon. But after the first turn, it's really not. So you could play Sphere Mode. Because one of our main game plans is Dragoon, there is a card that I love playing with Dragoon. Ebon Sun. This card's amazing. It's got 3 kind of Swiss Army knife effects that are all generally good in Domain, in my opinion. If you face up monster you control, it will be destroyed by battle or card effect. So think Dark Hole, stuff like that. Or battle. You can gain life points equal to their combined original attack. So if you get Dark Hold, you're going to gain a ton of life, however much attack you have on the field. But you also gain life every combat phase, or every time they crash over something. This gives you so much longevity in a game, it's not even funny. Then if a monster special summons from your graveyard, you can have it permanently gain 1,000 attack, which we are playing, quite a few Call the Haunted type effects, so it's not negligible. Eternal Soul will also be bringing back Dark Magician a lot, and it'll make it a 3,500 hits. Makes it very hard to run over with their 3,000 beaters. But the most important part, if a spell or trap is discarded from your hand to the graveyard, it doesn't matter if it's cost or effect, you can target one of them, add it back to your hand. This means whenever you discard Red Eyes, it'll come back to your hand as long as the card you discarded was a spell or trap. I love this card. It's great. Wonderful in Domain. Dirt cheap. I would recommend it. Now, these Palladium fellas here were kind of staring at me, and I was like, gosh, I need more ways. Foolish Burial alone didn't seem worth it, so we're going to do Painful Choice. Now, I would not just throw in Painful Choice without thinking about what your Painful Choice piles are, okay? Specifically because of that, I'm going to add in one more card that I think is really good and also I would definitely pitch with Painful Choice. What are we going to be painful choicing? In my opinion, some good picks are Zernatron, because it can activate from graveyard. The 2 Palladiums, you want them in the graveyard, and if they add them to your hand, let's say it's turn 1 and you Painful Choice and everybody groans. Let's say they give you Mahad. You can discard it with the Dark Magician Girl to get it to your graveyard, so it'll be in the graveyard when you activate Soul Servant later on in the turn. So Titanicider, Zernatron, these 2 guys. You could even do Dark Magician if you want, or Dark Magician Girl. Dark Magician Girl is probably the safer one because Magician's Salvation will bring it back when you summon your Dark Magician. You can send Magic Karibo. It also activates from the graveyard. You could send Soul Servant, but I'm not sure that's the best, considering you can search for it and use it before you send it to the graveyard. You could send Chaos Space. It does have a graveyard effect, which is another reason why I'm deciding to play it, is it can return banished light or dark monsters that can't be normal summon set. Which I guess is a good time now to mention that if you gaze at Timaeus, say, I don't know, Master Chaos or Red Eyes Dragoon out, it'll end up banishing itself. This can put it back into your deck and you draw a card. So there's a little bit built in the recycling there that I forgot to mention. So I think you have plenty of things to Painful Choice away. I would not just throw this in and try and guess what you're Painful Choicing every single time you play it, because it'll take too long and it'll annoy everybody else. All right, now I'm thinking I've got a pretty good setup here, and I just need to finish off the extra deck and the main deck. So now I'm going to be going towards things like what I feel like are staples, hand traps, whatever. One resource that I really like to look up when I'm trying to find maybe some generic stuff that I'd like to play. The website that I like to use often is Yugioh Meta. It's got a very good search feature. I love this search engine. What I need is a monster that is, I guess, well, I mean, you can put in dark main deck. Now this is going to show me all the most popular main deck dark monsters. Let's see, we're not messing with Malice. Shifter is really not good in Domain, I don't think, because you can only use it while you have no cards in your graveyard, which is the first rotation. You could put in Diabellstar. I'm not going to, because the Diabellstar stuff, the Sinful Spoils, the Azamina cards, you could easily fit those in here. I'm not going to though, because like I said, I'm trying to do a super straightforward deck. DD Crow, we already have all those Bestials. Funny enough, you could put in Fallen of Albaz, because we've got Abolenatus in here, and setting an Albaz and then contact fusing with every dragon in play is hilarious sometimes, but I'm not going to. All right, so to be completely honest, I'm not seeing a whole lot that I like there. So let's see if there's any spellcasters we could add. You could add Droll. Personally, again, I'm not super interested in Droll. Effect Veiler is good enough that I would definitely play Effect Veiler. White Forest is also another very insane archetype you could add to this deck, but again, that convolutes the deck. It makes it a lot more advanced. It's just a little too difficult to just hand out to somebody, because then you have to teach them White Forest combos, you know? You could play Incredible Ecclesia for kind of a free tuner. Speaking of which, I guess now's a good time to explain why I'm playing Bestial Dissipator, because it does need a tuner, but we don't got a tuner except Chorizo. We're gonna throw in Chorizo because it's pretty easy to make in the deck. So you could make Chorizo off of the Dark Magician of Destruction and the Magician's Rod that you'll have in play. There is a combo line. You end up with, you know, this guy in play by banishing this that you searched for with your Gold Sark, and then with your Rod and this guy, you can make Chorizo, and then Chorizo plus. In order to make Bestial Dissipator, you have to have drawn one of your Bestials or Mana Dragon. But that is how we go into Bestial Dissipator. We have to make it off of Chorizo plus one of these. And I love Bestial Dissipator. This is one of my favorite extra deck monsters. I just think it's super powerful. You can bring back banished light or dark monsters. You can negate effects. You can destroy cards. It's good. And it recycles your banished cards. I love that. But Chorizo also is a really good super poly target. Essentially an extra deck monster plus a spellcaster. So you could eat up any extra deck monster, go into Chorizo. Chorizo is also quite defensive. If anything declares an attack, you can negate the attack, and if you do, this card gains attack equal to that monster's attack till the end of the turn. Then you return that monster to the hand. So super annoying to get through. Also, looking at the extra deck, we're gonna go dark. So this is kind of a link climbing you can do. If your opponent has a dark monster in the graveyard, you can get dark, make Selene. If you end up bringing something back with dark, you can make Selene, and then Selene, hopefully there's enough stuff in the graveyard to bring back any spellcaster to make access code. Now, you don't have to have access code as your link 4 here. There's a lot of link 4s you could end up in. Or you can take this out altogether if you don't care about having a link 4 package. I just personally think it's a good idea because access code is quite good at ending the game, at least killing one person at least. But there's other link 4s you could play instead. You know, there's Boral Load Dragon, Boral Sword Dragon. Both of these are pretty obnoxious because you can't activate anything in response to their effects. This can get over anything, and this can steal anything. Something that's a bit more expensive but would be super good in the deck is Abow instead of access code. If rather than a finisher, you'd like something that can get you more gas throughout the game. Abow is also very good with Ebon Sun, and it brings things back from the graveyard, so Ebon Sun would boost its attack. It can also pop any card on the field by discarding, but also bringing back Dark Magician as a quick effect could activate your Dark Magician Circle. Abow just happens to be, I think, a little bit more pricey, so keep that in mind that she's kind of expensive. I guess another one would be Little Knight. Little Knight would be really good at in here. Also, I think it's still kind of out of budget. But I was kind of wondering what to do with this last spot, and I saw a pretty funny interaction. I saw somebody playing Sandwich. It's just a level 6 Dark Spellcaster fusion monster, and the way they summoned it was Ready Fusion. You know, I don't know. I thought that was kind of cute. At the worst, you could use Ready Fusion, summon him, and because you activated a spell, and because you have a level 6 or higher spellcaster, you could banish the Sandwich for Dark Magician of Destruction. So there's that. If you want to end up keeping your Dark Magician girl in play. All right, some more generic stuff. Imperm. Let's see, Chalice. Droplet, I mean. Dark Hole, I guess. You could throw in Dark Hole Dragon in here. He searches for Dark Hole whenever something's destroyed. He summons himself from the graveyard or hand. It's pretty good. Pot of Greed, Graceful Charity, some All-Stars. Now, I was, at this point, I was like, gosh, I'm still worried about Gaze of Timaeus banishing stuff, so let's add in Dimension Fusion, some craziness here. I personally just love Dark Factory, more production, It's just so good having this up in play, because let's say your opponent activates, you know, something that targets your monster and is going to destroy it or banish it. You could just cash it in for a card instead. It's really good. Again, it's another way to get rid of these out of your hand, hopefully. And then the last card I decided to put in was Sinful Spoils of the White Forest, mainly because this can help me special summon spellcasters out of my hand or do a fusion summon. There's plenty of things in the deck to fusion summon into, so having another way to fusion summon on the opponent's turn is something I like doing. I play a lot of Chimera Fusion decks, so I'm just used to being able to try and do that. Okay, so there you have it. This is a rough draft. I have not personally tested this yet, but I will show you the combos that I guess are possible. And once you learn this bread and butter combo with just your deckmaster, which is something you can teach somebody very easily when they first pick up the deck. Once you know that, I think the deck is going to be really pretty easy to pilot, really. So let's look at the main combo. Okay, so here I am with my deckmaster and only one card. Now, obviously, in Domain, you would draw 5 and then draw for your turn. So you'd have 6 cards to do a lot of stuff with. But in this example, I'm just going to show what you can do off of Dark Magician Girl. Like I said, this will end up being better than if you pick Magician's Rod, and you'll see why. Now, obviously, I would have 4 of the cards in my hand, and I would draw for turn. So I'd actually have 5 of the cards in hand. But this is a scenario of what you can just do off your deckmaster, and why I think she is so much stronger. So you gotta discard a card, special her. Now, obviously, this is gonna go. It's gonna be very rare that nobody's ever gonna have interaction to do anything with while you're doing your combo lines. But this is just the bread and butter that you need to know, so that you know you'll have a good setup for the first turn, and we'll be able to be involved with the rest of the game. So declare her. Go get yourself the Shining Sark. Go ahead and activate it. Go get yourself a Dark Magician to hand. You can special summon this. Now you have 2 level 6 spellcasters or higher, and you've activated a spell. So you could banish either one of these to summon Dark Magician of Destruction. I'm going to banish this because the idea is that we're going to activate Soul Servants and draw cards, and we need this is Dark Magician Girl, and Dark Magician of Destruction counts as Dark Magician. So I'd rather get rid of this rather than have 2 Dark Magicians in play for the Soul Servant. So banish, summon, declare, go get yourself. You can go get anything really that mentions Dark Magician, but you can go get Rod because you haven't summoned yet. Normal summon Rod because we haven't normal summoned yet. Declare Rod. Now you're in the position you would be in, but with a lot more resources and follow-up if Magician's Rod was your deckmaster. This is why I think this is the better choice to make. This is essentially where all your combo lines are going to branch off and do different stuff. So what you get with Rod is up to you, but I think the best thing to go do would be get Soul Servant, because now you can activate Soul Servant. Go get yourself. So the Soul Servant here kind of branches off into 2 paths. You would either get Gaze of Timaeus, because what you can do is use this as link material or whatever, and while it's in the graveyard on an opponent's turn, use Gaze of Timaeus to bring, you can get Master of Chaos or Dragoon. But the thing you got to worry about is they're going to get banished. The other option is to use the Gaze of Timaeus to summon it now and use it as material for something. Or you could go with the play that I think is a bit safer. You could go get Magician Salvation on top, because then when you activate that, you'll get Eternal Soul. Then you can start using Eternal Soul to go get all the dead draws, like Thousand Knives, Dark Magic Attack. Just start pulling them out of your deck. And even though this card's name is treated as Dark Magician in the field or graveyard, you cannot use this to Monster Reborn this. The reason being is specifically says must either be fusion summoned or special summoned by banishing a level 6 or higher dark spellcaster. It doesn't say must first be. It's just saying if you special summon it, it must be special summoned by being fusion summoned or the other banishing it, level 6 or higher. You cannot Monster Reborn this, unfortunately. It would be absolutely bonkers if you could, but you can't. Unfortunately, they gotta, for some reason, make Dark Magician support subpar and Blue Eyes support really, really good. So like I said, this is where things branch off. You can either do Magician Salvation or the new Gaze of Timaeus. I think the Gaze of Timaeus is pretty good because, or sorry, that goes to top. Then we have Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl, so we can banish this, draw 2 cards. The second card we draw is not going to matter. Well, it would matter in this case. So I'm going to pretend that's a dead draw or whatever, just to show you what you can do with the 1 card. But you could make Verte. Now, you don't want to activate Verte right away, because as soon as you do, you won't be able to special summon anymore. Now you could activate the Gaze of Timaeus. It's kind of nice actually because this will go back to the extra deck, and then you can summon anything that mentions Dark Magician. You could do Red Eyes, but it's going to get banished. You could do Master of Chaos because it will have an on-summon effect. You will get a lighter dark monster from your graveyard, special summon it. Now, you could use this as material so it won't end up getting banished. You could crash. If there's any way to crash it, you could do that because it says when it is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can get a spell back, which would be kind of funny to get back Gaze of Timaeus. But we will... Now, I will say here is an interesting thing you could do. You could use this and this to make Chorizo. And if you end up drawing a Bestial, you could use Chorizo plus a Bestial to make Dissipator, which could be really, really strong. But that's completely dependent on if you opened up a Bestial or not. But you can still make Chaos Angels, so we could send that, make Chorizo, and then level 4 Dark, level 6 Dark, make this. Banish something if you need to. Now you can activate. Now, of course, you still have 5 other cards in hand. So, you know, there's all kinds of stuff I'm sure you could be doing right now. That's one reason why I think this is so much stronger, is this gives you a lot of options. So we can just Red Eyes Fusion. So for those of you who don't know, Verte makes you pay 2,000, send to the graveyard a Fusion card, copy its effect, which its effect is to send from hand, deck, or field to the graveyard. You can make Dark Dragoon by sending Red Eyes and Dark Magician. Now, you're locked out of special summoning for the rest of the turn because of Verte, but you got 2 pops on this bad guy because you had used Red Eyes and Dark Magician, which are 2 normal monsters. I forgot to mention this, but you will want to put your Deckmaster back in the Deckmaster zone. Okay, so now you gotta be careful because Chaos Angel says your monsters cannot be destroyed by battle, so everybody can just start ramming into Verte and kill you. So there's that. But like I said, all of this is just off of summoning Dark Magician Girl. You have 5 other cards in hand. You have follow-up on your next turn with Shining Sark and your Deckmaster. You'll hopefully at the very least be able to make Dark, go into Selene, go into Access Code if they have a Dark monster in their graveyard, that is. But yeah, there's probably even other stuff you could do. I threw this deck together kind of in like an hour or so. That's just kind of a very basic bread and butter combo, and you don't even have to go into Verte like this. There is other stuff you could do. All right, so this is the deck using Dark Magician Girl as the Deckmaster, the Shining Sarcophagus one. Now you can switch it out with Rod and it won't change the deck at all as far as like the domain and all that stuff. You'll be totally fine if that's what you'd rather do. Totally cool. So yeah, that is the deck. That is the deck profile. I hope going through the entire process of building the deck with you guys helped give you a little bit of insight. There's all kinds of resources if you still need help. The Domain Discord has a spot for getting help with deck lists. What do you guys think about this deck? Is it, do you think it hit my goals pretty well? You know, it's simple enough, hopefully not too crazy combo heavy, has a good enough first turn, good access through its Deckmaster, hopefully still fun and interactive while not being like, you know, hopefully you don't brick. I know it doesn't feel fun to play a game and not feel like you're involved. Tell me what you guys think down below. I'm absolutely going to be doing this again, just so you know. I would love to do this for other deck archetypes. Maybe even someday, once I make 4 starter decks, I can do a pod of those starter decks facing off against each other. But keep a lookout on my channel. I'm going to be doing more polls to see what you guys would like to see next. I'm going to keep the same 3 that I picked last time for Hire, Fire King, what was the other one? And Generator. There's going to be a 4th slot open, so leave a comment down below about what you guys would like to see next, and I will try and use whichever comment gets the most upvotes on whichever archetype. Maybe that'll be the 4th option for the next poll. But I would love to hear any criticism you guys got, whatever thoughts you guys have, leave it down below. Comment on the video, like it, show it to your friends who like Dark Magician. I want to say thank you to my patrons. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you all so much. Everything that I get from there is going to be helping me when I go to the NAWCQ and Indy. If you guys want to join on, maybe get yourself some signed cards from me, you can join my Patreon. But that's going to be it. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate you all. I can't wait to the next one in this video. I can't wait to see what wins the next poll. Until then, I'll see you guys then.